Ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of Brigadier General Stephen Lightfoot, Director, Capabilities Development Directorate, Combat Development and Integration, welcome to today's retirement ceremony, during which Master Gunnery Sgt. Aldridge will be released from active duty and retired after 26 years of faithful and honorable service to his country in the United States Marine Corps. Ladies and gentlemen, please stand for the arrival of the official party, invocation, playing of our national anthem, and the rendering of honors.
Let us pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we come to you now with gratitude that we can celebrate such an auspicious occasion. It's during moments like these that we're reminded of the impact that one Marine can make to promote democracy and to afford the citizens of this nation the ability to pursue happiness and to teach us how to live virtuously. I'm reminded of the reality of President Reagan's words. Some people spend an entire lifetime wondering if they made a difference in the world, but the Marines don't have that problem. Master Gunnery Sgt. Aldridge is no exception to that truth. He refused to merely sit on the sidelines only talking about change. He's a man of action and will certainly leave a lasting legacy. We thank you, Father, for allowing us to be the beneficiaries of his dedicated service. We realize that these moments can never fully offer a sufficient tribute to Master Gunnery Sgt. Aldridge's accomplishments, but I pray that these coming moments might provide at least a glimpse of all that he has meant to the Corps and to this nation. I ask that you'll place your blessing upon Master Gunnery Sgt. Aldridge as he comes to the end of this journey. I pray that the next would bring tremendous joy and laughter with his wife Tara and with their family. And I pray that you would be honored and glorified during this time. It's in your holy name I pray. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will now render honors to the retiring officer, Brigadier General Stephen Lightfoot, Director, Capabilities Development Director. Please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, Brigadier General Lightfoot.
Hey, thanks. All right. I'm typically someone who likes to talk with my hands, so I apologize. I'm going to have one hand moving around and one hand on the mic so that you can hear what I'm saying. Right off the bat, I just want to welcome our Korean War veterans. I've chosen a few. I just want to say thanks. I think there's a few out in the crowd here. Can you put your... Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you for the service that you provided to our country, for the Marine Corps, and thank you for taking the time to come here today. Today is a bittersweet day. We're going to retire a Master Gunnery Sergeant, the highest rank you can attain on the enlisted side in the Marine Corps. And we're going to honor him today. We're going to do our best to do that. So right up front, I just want to thank a few folks for coming here because you just heard the band, and the band just sounded fantastic. Thank you for entertaining us on the front side, and you make every ceremony what it is, so special. because it just wouldn't be one without you guys. So thank you so much for that. Chaplain, where are you? Okay. I just want to say thanks for that, and you know, the Ronald Reagan quote is one of my favorites. You know, so thanks so much. I now know there's a line right here that you don't cross, where you get a lot of feedback, a lot. Okay. Next, I just want to say thanks to the ACE. You know, so I look across and I see the aviation combat element of CDD, and a lot of friendly faces, a lot of familiar faces. So thank you for taking the time to come out here and honor Master Gunnery Sergeant Aldridge. And also just want to say, I know that you've got family and friends, you know, here who are taking the time to honor your 26 years of service to the Marine Corps. So how many folks here, well, before I get to that, let me ask, how many folks here have been to the museum before? How many have not? Let me ask, how many haven't been to the museum? That's probably a better way to put that. Okay, well, I'll tell you, this is a really special venue. As everyone knows, Marines are very proud of our heritage, our legacy of fighting. We believe, and there are other folks that believe the same, that the Marine Corps is the finest fighting organization the world has ever seen. And when you go through here, and I hope you actually get the time, take the time while you're here to walk through and see all of it. I am glad, you know, and I am very thankful that Master Gunnery, so thank you for allowing me to be your retired officer. Let me just say it's an honor. And I would say right here, yes, and I know when I said who's been here before, everyone looked up. You want to see these are wings. Aviation is a big part of the Marine Corps. And what you have behind me, and I think we couldn't have a better backdrop for what you do and what you've done, is you have a UH-34 Seahorse right here. This was kind of pre-Vietnam and in the beginning of Vietnam. This thing is an absolute, and it was an absolute workhorse. And for those that remember piston radial engines, that's what this thing flew with. And if you were flying it, it was because you were flying the heck out of it. There's nothing automatic, no computers, you know, in this thing. So this thing is tough to fly. This is even older than crusty old Master Guns Aldridge, who's retiring today. So that tells you a little something about how old this machine is. Then, of course, this went into the CH-46 Frog that we flew for 50 years in the Marine Corps, and then now replaced by the MV-22 tilt rotor. So just a little bit of history, and if you go through it, you're going to see a lot of that. Why does this matter? Well, because that's what Master Gunnery Sergeant Aldridge has done. You know, a big part of his career, and when he joined the Marine Corps in 1998, he became an aircraft rescue firefighting specialist, an ARF specialist. And what do? They make sure that when this aircraft is airborne, it has someone able to respond when things don't go right. And that's what we need. We need folks to make sure that, A, we gotta make sure we can fly these things safely, but when something happens, and inevitably, it's like if you're riding a motorcycle, it's not if, it's when something's gonna go wrong. When an aircraft has a problem, you have to have someone who's there able to put the fire out and pull folks from the wreckage. And I will tell you, as someone who's flown in training and combat, I have seen our crash fire rescue specialists put fires out and pull pilots and aircrew from the wreckage. So absolute heroes. So I just want to say thank you up front for everything that you've done in 26 years. I'm going to talk a little bit more about that. I asked a little earlier, who is for the first time seeing a retirement, a military retirement? Anyone? Okay, so got one more over here. So here's the way this is going to go today. I am going to do my best to honor Master Guns Aldridge for the things that he has done. Then we're going to present him with an award, a well-deserved award that's going to try to encapsulate 26 years of service in the Marine Corps. And when you think about that, there's probably less than 26 lines of text in there that we're going to read through. So if you interpret that, that's less than one line for every year of service. So there's no way that we can actually do it justice. But we're going to do what we can, and it's the right thing to do. So we're going to present him an award. Then his retirement certificate, then the flag. Then we're also going to present a bunch of certificates from very important people, and I think it's appropriate to say that because I would say that the President of the United States is a pretty important person. We think that the Commandant of the Marine Corps is an important person, and we think that the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps is important. And then as I was looking at your certificates, a former POTUS who you served with. You know, so you're going to hear all these folks who want to associate their good name with Master Gunnery Sergeant's 26 years of honorable and faithful service. So that's what we're going to do. Then we're also going to honor you, Tara. We're going to get you up here, and we're going to honor you and make you feel a little embarrassed, and that's okay. But this is a special day for the both of you, and we want to do that. Then, after all that, is when I'm going to say, congratulations, and I'm going to turn the microphone over to Master Gunnery Sergeant Aldridge for everything that he's done, and you'll have your chance to make some remarks. So, let me just talk a little bit about Master Gunnery Sergeant Aldridge. We talked about joining in 1998, so 26 years ago. If you do the math, he's actually going to go on term enrollment. It will actually be 26 years. So just in case you're wondering, math for Marines. Am I getting it wrong or am I getting it right? Did the math, looked it up. So what I'm not going to go through his whole bio, and he's got a fantastic bio. If you read through it, you'll see the amazing, and even that doesn't encapsulate absolutely everything. But I want to walk you around the globe for a second. So he joins. Becomes an aircraft rescue firefighting specialist, and immediately gets deployed, as in like has to get stationed, over to Japan. So the MCA is in Iwakuni in Japan, or actually it was Futenma. So in Okinawa Prefecture in Japan. So he serves there, and he's a firefighting specialist, but at the same time, they realize this kid can shoot in boot camp. So he comes over and he becomes a marksman, really an expert. He's a double E. You can't see it in the uniform that we're wearing today, but he's a double E, meaning he's expert in the rifle and the pistol, meaning you can't get better than that. And that's what he was right out of the bat. So they said, hey, you're going to become one of our marksman instructors as well. And then also, and I talked about, flying and being able to put fires out, but if you can do both, why not do both? So then he said, hey, you know what? We fly C-12s, which is one of the aircraft that we fly in the Marine Corps, and he flew C-12s. So not only does he put out fires, but he's not afraid to fly in the aircraft that he might have to put the fire out on at some point. So that's in Japan. And from there, he says, well, I'm doing a pretty good job here, and he does. And what do we do after your first enlistment when you're doing a good job? You say, hey, you got to go do a B building. So he gets selected to go to Marine Security Guard Detachment. And we only select our best for that because it's independent duty, it's extremely challenging. You've got to be someone who can think on your feet. You're protecting embassies, you're actually a statesman, like you are representing not just the Marine Corps, but you are representing the United States of America when you're in a foreign country. And for those that are unfamiliar, you usually do a couple of countries. And they kind of start off with the one that's a little more less known, and then you kind of graduate to the one that's a little more known. And that's to ensure that you don't try to stay in one spot. So the very first one, he goes from Japan and gets stationed in Uruguay. For those, and I know everyone knows exactly where Uruguay is because everyone knows that. You learn that in geography. But it's sandwiched on the South Atlantic coast of South America between Brazil and Argentina. And that's the first place that he goes, and he serves as representing the Marine Corps of the United States. After that tour, he does a great job. They say, okay, now you get to go to the place that's a little more known. And you might have heard of a place called Moscow in Russia. So he goes and he serves in Moscow, and trust me, that's a coveted place. I can't imagine that anyone else wanted to go there, and you just got lucky, right? No, it's because of performance. When you're good, you get selected for the good billets as well. So he goes and he serves in Moscow. But he's like, well, I went from Japan to the southern hemisphere, back to the northern hemisphere, in Moscow, and he's got a whole bunch of tales on that one, which are cool. But he says that, you know what, it's time to go back to North America. So he goes to the West Coast and is serving in Camp Pendleton in Marine Wing Support Squadron. And that's where a lot of our firefighting capabilities reside within the wing. So now he's serving in 3rd Marine Aircraft Wing. Previously it was 1st Marine Aircraft Wing in Japan. Now he's at Camp Pendleton. But also, what do we have going on at this time? We've got combat. We've got OIF going. So he's in a unit that gets deployed. He deploys over to OIF in Iraq. So now he's in Southwest Asia. He's bounced around a little bit. So now he's in Southwest Asia, and he's making sure that, hey, aircraft are safe and able to fly, and we're going to keep pilots alive and their crew alive. Comes back from combat, goes back to the West Coast at Camp Pendleton, and from there begins his trek across the United States. Again, there's a trend here. You don't make master guns unless you're darn good at what you do. So there's a trend. He's at Camp Pendleton. He's doing a fantastic job of protecting these aircraft. And so what does he get selected for? To be an instructor. So from there, from Camp Pendleton, he needs to go to Goodfellow, Texas, which I'm sure everyone's been there. But it's right in the middle of Texas, and at least a 3-hour drive, 2 or 3 hour drive from every major city that's in Texas. But it goes there to be the instructor, one of the instructors, because when you're good, you instruct. When he finishes up that tour, it's a joint tour at an Air Force base, he comes back over, continuing his trek across the United States, and continues to the East Coast, and gets stationed at Cherry Point and New River. And that's where our second Marine aircraft wing is, because he's only served in first and third, may as well go to second, right? So now it's time to go to, we only have 3 wings in the Marine Corps, on active components, so it's time to go serve in all of them. So he goes over to 2nd Marine Aircraft Wing and serves there. And not only does he serve there, but he serves as the OIC. And you might be thinking I'm missing something when I say OIC, as a Master Sergeant at the time. But I'm not, I mean that. Because usually you have an OIC and a Staff NC OIC. But because there was no OIC, he served as the OIC, as the officer in charge, for that unit. And I'll tell you, as someone who has seen this before, you don't even consider that unless you have someone who is just remarkably capable. You just wouldn't do that. You would say, hey, we gotta find someone, we gotta bring someone over here, it's just too important. But when you have someone who's remarkably capable, then you say, you know what, I think this unit is gonna be fine under the leadership and tutelage, of this Marine right here. And so, Master Sergeant Aldridge, just thank you for that, for serving in 2 billets at once as the OIC and the Staff NC OIC. So from there, he says, hey, you know what? It's time to deploy again. Gets selected for Special Purpose MAGTF Africa. There's a trend here. This guy's going all over the place. So he goes to Africa, and then comes back, and now I think that's pretty much all the continents except for Australia and Antarctica. So you pretty much have on your bucket list, I hope. Have you been to Australia yet? It's on the list. And then Antarctica, I think just soon after. So you got all the continents. You got to hit them all. But after a successful tour at New River, he comes back up, and what happens when you get selected for Master Gunnery Sergeant, and there's only 6 Master Gunnery Sergeants in this field across the Marine Corps. Only 6. He's one of them, and he goes and serves in that billet where you write the requirements for what is the future of this firefighting in the Marine Corps. What is it going to be for aircraft recovery and rescue? And that's where he ended. And that's the top of the food chain. I'll just say that. There are 1,100 Master Gunnery Sergeants in the Marine Corps. And you might think that sounds like a lot, but let's compare that to the number of Marines that we have in the Marine Corps. Roughly 175,000 Marines in the Marine Corps. And you do math for Marines in public, 1,100 is less than 1% of that. So less than 1% of our Marines ultimately make it to Master Gunnery Sergeant, and he is serving in that top billet in the Marine Corps of Master Gunnery Sergeants in his 7051 Aircraft Rescue Firefighting Specialist MLS. So congratulations, and thank you for all the expertise that you've given to the Marine Corps and given back. And I know that Master Sergeant Curl just said you were one of his mentors, and I know he's not the only one. There are a lot of Marines out there that have felt your mentorship, and they are carrying on the legacy of our Marine Corps and professionalism that you have brought. So I just want to say thank you in front of everyone for that. Before I hand the mic over and we begin all the certificates and all the things that go along with that, the last thing I want to say is I know that you are ready. You are ready for the next chapter. Here's someone, if you look at his bio, you'll see at the end there, highly educated. Okay, here's an individual who could do absolutely anything he wants to do. I won't go through all the education, but I will say, you got an MBA. And if you have an MBA, you got a lot of options. You got choices that you can make. And you can probably make a lot more money. And I know that, you know that. But he's a patriot. He's good at what he does. He mentors folks. He leaves the Marine Corps a better place by choice. And so, thank you for that. And as I talked to him, I said, what are you going to do? And I was kind of expecting to hear him say, I'm going to go work for SpaceX, and I'm going to make millions of dollars. But he said, actually, I love what I do, and I look forward to coming back to headquarters Marine Corps as a civilian this time. So a little different uniform. But he wants to continue the work that he's been doing, because there's a lot of work to be done, and he's going to come back and serve in that capacity. So again, thank you for continuing. We don't want to lose any of that 26 years of expertise in the Marine Corps, and the fact that you're willing to come back when I know you could do other things, it really means a lot, I think, to everyone. And then finally, when I asked him when we were sitting down and just kind of doing an outbrief of thank you, for 26 years in the Marine Corps, especially your final destination here at CD9, Combat Development and Integration. I just said, where was your favorite duty station? And as one might imagine, if you don't know the story already, it was Moscow. And why was it Moscow? Because it's where he met his lovely wife, Tara. And if he hasn't told you the story, you need to drag it out of him. But how he met his wife at Catherine the Great Palace in Moscow, where they're celebrating a tournament that it completed, and it's broom ball, right, where you run around, or I shouldn't even say run, but it's on ice, except you're not wearing ice skates, you're wearing shoes, and you got a broom, and there's a ball, and you got to score. And what it boils down to is someone was really good and got second place, Tara, and someone was really not good and did not get second place, Master Guns Aldridge. That's all I'm going to say about that. You could get the details, from Master Guns, this evening, over a beer, and he'll probably tell a different version of that story, but don't believe it. Okay, so with that, let's go ahead and continue on with the award and interesting ceremony.
From the Commandant of the Marine Corps, the President of the United States takes pleasure in presenting the Legion of Merit to Master Gunnery Sgt. Kenneth G. Aldridge, United States Marine Corps, for services as set forth in the following citation. For exceptionally meritorious conduct in the performance of outstanding service while serving as Deputy Expeditionary Airfield and Emergency Services Capability Integration Officer, Marine Air Command and Control Integration Branch, Aviation Combat Element Division, Capabilities Development Directorate, Combat Development and Integration, Quantico, Virginia, from April 2021 to November 2023. During this time, Master Gunnery Sgt. Aldridge demonstrated outstanding leadership and management as the Marine Corps Service Lead for Expeditionary Airfield and Expeditionary Fire and Rescue Capability Requirements, serving as the principal architect for 6 requirement memorandums and 1 capabilities development document used to establish, validate, and transfer equipment needs to acquisition professionals, managing Marine Corps programming codes totaling over $127 million of assets, and was responsible for maintaining an expeditionary firefighting and rescue program that standardized 260 pieces of equipment, ultimately saving $10 million. His leadership and diligence for the modernization of marine aviation have been without equal, and he has made lasting contributions to the aviation ground support community by enhancing vital expeditionary enablers. Master Gunnery Sgt. Aldridge's superior performance of duties culminated his 26 years of honorable and dedicated military service. Master Gunnery Sgt. Aldridge's exceptional ability, initiative, and total dedication to duty reflected credit upon him and were in keeping with the highest traditions of the Marine Corps and the United States Naval Service. For the President, Eric M. Smith, Commandant of the Marine Corps. The official retirement orders from the 38th Commandant of the Marine Corps to Master Gunnery Sgt. Aldridge. United States Marine Corps. Master Gunnery Sgt. Kenneth G. Aldridge was transferred this date from the United States Marine Corps to the Fleet Corps Reserve after 26 years of honorable and faithful service. 1 March 2024, Washington, D.C. Signed, D.H. Berger, 38th Commandant of the Marine Corps. A flag is now being presented to Master Gunnery Sergeant Aldridge. This flag of the United States of America was flown on 5 October 2023 at the United States Marine Corps War Memorial in honor of Master Gunnery Sergeant Kenneth Aldridge's 26 years of dedicated and faithful service to the United States Marine Corps. A letter from the Commander-in-Chief. Certificate of Appreciation for Service in the Armed Forces of the United States of America to Master Gunnery Sergeant Kenneth G. Aldridge, United States Marine Corps. I extend my personal gratitude and the sincere appreciation of a grateful nation to you for your patriotic service to our country. Your bravery and dedication in our armed forces helped protect our fellow Americans during a critical moment in our history and contributed to a world of greater security and growing prosperity. Your devotion to duty, honor, and country, in keeping with the long traditions of the finest military in the world, embody the American ideal of selfless service. Our nation owes you an incredible debt. Your commitment and the example you set will inspire future generations to serve with pride and to keep our country secure. You represent the best of our nation, and I join our fellow Americans in saluting your honorable service. I wish you happiness and success in your next chapter. Joseph R. Biden Jr., Commander-in-Chief. A letter from the Honorable George W. Bush. Dear Kenneth, thank you for your service in the United States Armed Forces. I am proud to have served as your Commander-in-Chief, and I am pleased to join your family, friends, and colleagues in recognizing your career and accomplishments. Throughout history, the dedicated men and women of our military have protected our citizens and preserved the ideals that make our country strong. Their courage and sacrifice have inspired countless people and have helped shape America's character. On behalf of a grateful nation, I thank you for your contributions to our security and to the cause of peace and freedom. Your service, patriotism, and selfless devotion have helped advance the universal hope of liberty at home and around the world. Laura and I send you our best wishes for health and happiness in the years ahead. May God bless you, and may God continue to bless America. Sincerely, George W. Bush. A letter from the 38th Commandant of the Marine Corps. Dear Master Gunnery Sergeant Aldridge, the Marine Corps has been your occupation and family for many years past, and I am certain the memories, interests, and the future of the Corps will remain with you forever. Many desire to obtain your accomplished goals, but few can compare to you. You have clearly demonstrated the exceptional leadership qualities and professional contributions we seek of our senior Marines. We are proud, as you must be, of your successful career. As a teacher to young Marines, a source of wise counsel, and as an example of those soldierly virtues we so admire, you have left a mark on the Corps that will remain long after you've left our active ranks. There are many young Marines you have influenced who will carry on the same fine tradition that has always characterized the United States Marine Corps. You have my best wishes for good health and continued success in the years ahead. Semper Fidelis, D.H. Berger, General, United States Marine Corps, 38th Commandant of the Marine Corps. A letter from the 19th Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. Dear Master Gunnery Sergeant Aldridge, on the occasion of your retirement, I would like to extend my congratulations and heartfelt thanks for your many years of dedicated service and selfless devotion to our country and Corps. You have made tremendous contributions and sacrifices throughout your Marine Corps career. As you prepare to enter this new chapter of your life, you can look back with immense pride and satisfaction on all that you have accomplished. You have set an example of professionalism and leave a standard of excellence for all Marines who will carry on the legacy of our Corps. My wife Stacy joins me in wishing you continued success in the future. Semper Fidelis, Troy E. Black, 19th Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps. Mrs. Tara Aldridge is being presented a certificate of appreciation for her steadfast support to her husband and his Marines throughout his career. United States Marine Corps Certificate of Appreciation presented to Mrs. Tara J. Aldridge on the occasion of the retirement of her husband from active duty. You have earned the Corps' grateful appreciation for your unselfish, faithful, and devoted service. Your unfailing support and understanding helped to make possible your husband's lasting contributions to a grateful nation. Given under my hand the second day of November, 2023, Brigadier General Stephen J. Lightfoot, Director, Capabilities Development Directorate.
In fact, I'm not gonna just talk. I'm gonna talk to Tara, but I want you all to hear it as well. So I'm gonna say just at ease, at ease. So Tara, thank you so much for all the years of support that you provided to your husband, your Marine, because we know that. I think all of us know who are married here. You can't do everything you need to do without support. You know, otherwise, there's long hours, there's deployments, there's going to all the continents. You know, there's a lot of things going on, and without support from you, he would not have been able to excel and reach the very top tier of the Marine Corps without your support. So I just want to say thank you. Give a hug. Yeah, all right. Thanks a lot. All right, let's have a hand for these two.
Flowers are being presented to Master Gunnery Sgt. Aldridge's family for their dedicated support to his career.
So to me, it was important to present these personally.
How to do it. There's a lot of smiles and you can't see it. All right, so I just want to be the first one to announce it that you gave me that right, so I'm going to do it. Ladies and gentlemen, Master Gunnery Sergeant Aldridge, retired United States Marine Corps.
So normally I walk around and talk like that, but today is a little different. I actually make notes so I don't get lost. I've had a pretty non-standard career, so this retirement service is going to be a little non-standard. So there's no real protocol when you look this stuff up on how you're supposed to do it. You go to enough of them, you see them, and there's certain ways that they tend to go. But I'm going to start off a little bit different. I want to thank my wife first. One, so I don't forget. Right, but also she's the most important person to me. She's the reason why I'm lieutenant. She's the one she's driven me, tolerated me, taken care of me this whole entire time. And we've had a lot of adventures. We're still gonna have a lot more adventures to come. So thank you for being on my side and making me the person I am. General Lightfoot, I can't thank you enough for taking the time through the schedule. If you read through the bio, that doesn't do it justice. Phenomenal career, phenomenal Marine. It's been a pleasure working around for and with you. You generally make somebody want to be a better person. Not just a better Marine, but just a better man. It's always a pleasure. To the ACE leadership, Mr. Gass, Technical Improvement, Sam, can't thank you guys enough. You've helped me up in CDE, CDI, learning the ropes up there, but also very supportive of what we do up there with Aviation Ground Support, with EFR community, Expeditionary Firefighting and Rescue. I think that's what we're calling ourselves now. And then also with the Chief Marshal. So I wanted to thank you guys. Family and friends, again, when you're up here, there's that chance where you can disassociate and start looking at faces and try to thank everybody individually. I'm not going to do that. So if I did miss you, sorry, but I'm going to try and keep it there. The flowers that I presented, so I kind of went there in order. I don't typically buy my wife flowers. She asked me, why don't you buy my flowers? You know, bad dad joke in there, but I didn't know she sold them. But she got flowers, but I also wanted to present them to her. My mom, Nancy, she's been very supportive throughout all these years. A lot of times when I had to go to a course or deployment or something like that, it always seemed the time when Tara had a surgery. But she'd always come in, fly in, take care of Tara. Extended stays, it's always been really happy. To my niece, amazing woman. I work a lot with a lot of people, heroes, strong people. She's my girl. She owns her own business. She takes in-home care, so she's taking care of people. Phenomenal young lady. We're actually closer in age than I was with my sister, but I'm really happy that she was able to make it out here. Ruiz's, Dawn Ruiz, I won't say her real first name, because she'll probably punch me later for it. I just really wanted to see a look on her face when I gave her flowers. But a fierce friend, and she's been a sister this whole entire time. And you know, where I needed to take off or something like that, you know, Tara came into my life. Johnny and I would bounce around doing different things, different schools. Our extremely tough SP MACTAF deployments that we'd go on. Cross-country ships, like Tara and Dawn were like their own support network, always helping each other out. Johnny, he's been a brother the whole entire time, so we'll talk a little bit more about that because it's going to be kind of an interactive little spiel because I did do arts and crafts and I had select pictures, so I'm going to add a little more context to those pictures. So family that I'll have here a long time, buddy Greg Blunt, he's sitting back there. I couldn't have done a lot of this stuff without him. Like, everywhere I was around the world, my dad was in more help. But I didn't have to worry about it because Greg was always there to take care of me. Brother, he took me in back when I was like 16 or 17 years old. So actually emancipated a little bit. Did a good job helping me out. His family, phenomenal. His mom, Ellen, his dad, Greg, his sisters, great family. I'm just really happy with them. The Robbie family, part of it, the Robbie detachment floor. We go all the way back to high school, Greg, Mike, and I. But our careers kind of crossed paths along the country. He did the Air Force, went to the Marine Corps, went to the Air Force Academy, flew all kinds of aircraft, but we kind of lost touch. He did something that I'll never forget, though, while I was at Camp Pendleton. I got selected to Staff Sergeant. My dad couldn't travel. He always got to do stuff like Harris to do my adventures. And we were both on leave during Christmas, New Year's, and he came out there and we did kind of an unofficial promotion. So he came out there, we did the promotion, and he let my dad hang on my shoulder for the first time. That was really important process to him, so I couldn't take it. Great family if you get to ever meet Andy, Carson, Megan, their son, Spencer. Awesome. The other families that we talk about are the ones that are along the way. Mentors, fierce friends. There's another gentleman out here, Bobby Yon. I know he's here. Saw him. Great friend. Very passionate Marine, passionate about taking care of Marines and still doing it today. I'm going to talk to him about him a little later. And then family and friends that came a long way. We have a group called the Some Cousins. I'm starting to get used to like I have a family on the other side of me out here, but they made the trip out here. So thanks for going out and sharing this with Tara. Friends, family, and mentors, the people that shaped me along the way. There are a lot of sitting here, some great bids here. Todd Tarker, Greg Vanover, Pete Bordello. Thanks for coming out. I really appreciate that in there. But with that, I'll start going into the program. So when you write these things out, you put the bios in there and you start selecting photos. And then when I start selecting those photos, I kind of do the time thing. You're trying to unpack 26 years. And a lot of times there's like a thing you see that have some pictures to go along with the program, but there's really not much context behind those pictures. So going down the left page, you know, that's the recruit training, MCT. I mean, we heard some of that from General Lightfoot, but that first crash, that's when we wore blue coveralls. That's when things started changing and kind of got real. Like, that aircraft crashed off of White Beach. Johnny and I, we went up there, we had to cut that thing up 6 hours and we were cutting that thing apart. And it gets real for you there, like, we lost people. And you grow up a little bit now. MSG duty, that picture of me holding that shotgun. So that was my first day of post where I was alone and unafraid. So just got the picture of that as I'm walking in the post once. I thought that was kind of weird. Got to meet President Bush on an El Salvador trip. That was also my first flight in a helicopter. And then Moscow, that group of us sitting, the four of us standing there, that was during a mob demonstration. We had about 20 or 30,000 Russians outside of our embassy. They weren't exactly happy with us, so that was us afterwards when we were done. And the picture in front of St. Basil, not everybody gets a chance to do that. But with that, Moscow was my favorite place because I met Tara, but I also have lifelong friends in there. And they're here. Randy Borland, he's back there. He was part of that second squad group. Don't believe the thing he tells you. You can tell him stuff, maybe in a statute of limitations. But then in the bottom left corner, that's Tara. I finally convinced her to come to leave Venezuela, come to California. We got recognized at work. I think like 6 months later, I said, hey, I'm deploying. And then as soon as I get on a bird heading to Kuwait, her and her mom go to Disneyland. Disney freak, I didn't know that. That deployment to Iraq, we didn't really do crash work. We did provisional security battalion. So we had to change all that stuff in there. So that was the pictures of census that we did out in Portland. It does get cold. That other picture with the group, that's our watch section. It was snowing, so it snows in Iraq. Come back into that right side, and that's our wedding. And you can't see it, but there's some Marines that are in the backdrop of that wedding that did that sword arch. One of them was Sergeant Solander, who's now Chief Warrant Officer 4. He's sitting right over there. We had a good time there in the block teaching. The other picture in there, the cool part is that was a DoD academy. So you got a picture of us walking back from, we call it the SAM squad event, combat challenge. We use that to raise money, but there's a Navy one. He's in between us. There's also Todd Harper in there. He was the OIC at the time. We go out there and think we're young and realize that we're not. That photo of my dad, that was the last air races that we did. So aviation has been really big with you. We love airplanes, we love them flying them. That photo was taken by Greg, and that was the last time we were able to actually go together and go to the air races. Below that's New River. So, touch that as an OIC. I was only successful at New River because I was surrounded by amazing people. And there are a lot of Marines from there. Johnny Ruiz was there, Brett O'Mara, John Clark, Bill Ben Clark. I mean, Brett O'Mara was phenomenal. We were successful because we were a good team. We had a good group there. We were shaped and mentored along the way with Marines like Bobby Allen, like Greg Hanover, Pete Warlow. So that's what we were successful at. That's how we won that award. The one with us all dressed up in our evening dress, we did a mess night. Now, that's not me receiving the award. That's us being able to give one to a good friend and a good mentor. So we were presenting that to Bobby Allen. That next picture, that's that tough deployment we were talking about with Esmond Magtag, where we are based out of Stuttgart, Germany. And then every once in a while we fly to Spain, pick up the boss, and then we go down to Djibouti, get tax-free for a month, and come back up. Someone's got to do it. And that photo next to the plane, that's Senator Ernst. And we picked her up in Kosovo. So that's another tax-free place. And we flew her to Athens, but that's kind of where I got close to bleeding over into fourth mob, because you quickly find out that DMR detachment, most of the time it's Marine Corps Reserves. So those two pods, Niles, I don't know if he's here, he said it, Lieutenant Colonel Rudis, they're both reservists. So we just borrowed their plane for 6 months. Got to go visit Bella Woods, and that photo is Tara and I at the ball last year. And the last photo, it's a little out of sequence, that's us flying away. So I'll get back into flying here shortly, but I wanted to provide that context of what those photos were, because it does a good job of trying to at least unpack the last 26 years. Now on to what we do here. CD and I was a wake-up call in a lot of respects, and came up here to go with. We call it discovery learning. Because you learn something new, by the time you figure it out, it's time to go. A lot of us retire. But I really believe in what we're doing, because with the way the force design is, you open up your aperture tremendously. It's not just about what EFR and ARF is, it's how do they enable the rest of the Marine. How does that cog fit and make everything else spin? And you get to see that up there. And you get to see the different teams and all the different branches, all the CIOs in the same bucket you are, trying to quickly learn this, and you're worried about what you do because it's going to impact 5 years later. You may not see that. And doing the best you can to try and get it right. But it's an amazing program that we can go through. But we can't do that without seeing on the acquisitions. So Marine Corps Systems Command, we get them funding the hunting license. That of course says maintain stuff, but that was stuff that was laid down and supported, made, and shaped, built before I got there years before that. There's Marines in this room that helped get all that stuff started. Todd Tarper's here. Some of the biggest heavy lifting that I've seen on that thing is also on Booster Raw Round. Phenomenal guy, hard worker. You won't meet anybody who's passionate about what they do. So I'm very grateful for that. But there's also a core group of older master guns up here that was getting that started, making this stuff happen. It's when you see Pete Warlow, Ray Vandal, John the Boy, he was going to be here, I forget somebody. But all those guys helped shape, mentor me, and help me. I just tried to carry the ball a little bit forward and leave it a little bit better. The MOS, our occupational specialty. So in the past, you kind of see we're wearing coveralls. In the future, I'm excited for it. We did a couple things where we worked with the Occufield sponsor. We can see the education level of some of these Marines that are coming in. We're getting smarter. There's a lot more Marines that are coming in with degrees and certifications are coming up. And we're getting better at what we're doing. And I'm excited for the Marines that are coming up and what they're going to do in the future. I'd offer that we need to stick with aviation. That's what we're here. That's why we're 7000XX. That's what we support. So as long as we're supporting aviation, we have a job, we have relevancy. We don't need to worry about mission creeping or finding it somewhere else. You have a job. Let's get really good at that. So in closing on that part, I'm extremely humble for everybody that came out here and made this trip. Hopefully I made a one-time valuable for you. Still something from someone else up here. It's been 26 years of adult deferment. Now I have to grow up. And it's been an amazing ride. Great ride. I'm happy for it. I'm excited for what the future holds, what we're going to do. And the venue itself here, please take the time to tour this museum. It's amazing. It does not just a great job of telling our story of the Marine Corps, but also the history of our country. You can see it as you go through each one of these galleries. Happy accident. I mean, we're in the company of heroes, and you have the chosen few that are going through this building right now. The docents here, they're phenomenal. I don't know how many times I've gone through here, but I see and I learn something. So take the time to go through this museum. And also, for those of you joining us later on at the house, let Tara and I know if you need the address. But once again, this has been great. So thank you for coming out and supporting us. That's all I really have to say. So, awesome.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for the playing of Anchors Away and the Marines Hymn. Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes the official ceremony. On behalf of Master Gunnery Sergeant Aldridge and his family, thank you for attending today's retirement ceremony.